What's up, everyone? We are back for another tournament here. This is the Fear of the Dark Showdown tournament at Hollowed Hills. This is going to be some of the more challenging holes that you're going to play. And this guide specifically is going to be targeted towards new golfers. This is the rookie division, and rookies are going to play from the first tee box, which gives us some opportunity to potentially go for some shots in the early. So hopefully you guys are building up a little bit of a ball library. You can see going over to this other side, not the easiest thing, but could potentially happen, especially, and they just put out some pin packs. One of the featured pins was a multi-stat. So when you use a multi-stat, you'll see that it boosts multiple stats by 20, for example. So here you'll see my top spin now goes farther, my side spin goes farther, and I'm starting to get to the point where I can potentially get to the other side of this creek even. So you can see that it kind of opens up another possibility for you if you were to go for this. Now for this one specifically, I can't really get it that close to the green. So I'm just going to peel this off, and we're just going to swap ball down. Typically the only time that I'm going to go over to the other side, a shot like that, would be if I can drive the ball and get it very close to the green. I'm going to switch my bag up here, and I'm just going to put it on a Fusion 2. It's going to be a little bit easier to use Fusion for early clubs. So hopefully you guys are working on getting this Fusion unlocked, because especially for backspin, this is going to be pretty much the best that you can use for backspin in the early going. So this is more or less what we're going to do here. Just going to get this off the tee. Just put it into position. With the early clubs, the biggest thing that you want to focus on is your ultimate shots. You're going to want to keep that ball in play. Which you can see that I actually didn't quite do there. So let me just back out here. I thought for sure with that backspin it was going to hold. I'm, a little bit too used to using 7-8 bars of backspin. So as you're seeing right up here, not enough to hold. So we're just going to play our rings to make sure that it holds. With that last shot, I didn't even play the wind. I just assumed that it was going to hold. So there you can see, we hold it up, try to get it down to the end of the fairway. It's going to give us some flexibility. So you can see right at the max range for the wedge. So this is more or less what you want to be looking to do. You can see here, I'm going to put some right spin on. This is very strategic. As you can see that the ball guide is kind of veering to the left a little bit. So with that in mind, we're going to try to counter that. This is real close to the max club line. So let's keep that in mind. 100%. I'll play somewhere up here, just inside of 9 rings. So counting rings, it's going to be almost a full bullseye, 10. Just a little bit less than 1 full bullseye. So that's what you see me doing here. Make sure to keep that ball guide short of the hole. It is going to try to stretch out on you, as you can see. So just cut to the left at the last second, but we gave that a really nice run. You can see with that right spin that we put on, we were trying to counter that. So if you guys try to tweak that up just a little bit higher, I did 1 full bar, just a little bit more, maybe even 2 bars. Try to straighten out that line. You straighten out that line, maybe you get the drop. So definitely something to keep in mind there. So here you can see a little bit in between clubs on this first tee box. So you're going to want to do one of two things. And this is the way that I'll typically do something like this. You either want to use low power, or you're going to have to twist things a little bit and switch up to a Spectra. So you got to be willing to play multiple different shots here. This is very close to the max line again. Again, we might try to just counter this wind with a little bit of side spin that's almost a full bar. 8.2 at 100% is saying 6-3. I'm going to play this pretty much 100% spot up. The only thing that you have to worry about, so you're pulling kind of low on the target here. You can see this spot of the green is maybe just a little bit low. So you want to make sure that you don't lose any of that distance. So one of the things that you might want to do, consider, start to push up just a touch. Make sure that you don't lose that distance. So let's just try this, see what it looks like. Just a little bit heavy. I know it was going to cut to the right with some wind effect there. Super large wind. Anytime you have large winds like that. But all in all, things considered, keeping that in the, real close to 900 is the goal. It's really going to help you out with tiebreakers, especially on a course like this. And as you can see, 4 par 5s here, so we want to try to take advantage of these. And here you can see this one specifically. It's giving us, and this is a perfect opportunity here to utilize something that has power. So, when looking at that's in all clubs. Here's a driver woods. So driver woods, this is one of the most popular pins to use. If we want to get this up here into a nice position, this is kind of your best bet. So this is a good opportunity to just try to blast this up here. And get this up here in good position. I'm thinking something along the lines of this. Like I mentioned, the biggest thing that we change there is just the power. So with that in mind, this is saying 6 rings, maybe with some curl. I want to try to keep off the top spin just to keep myself. We're just going to kind of slightly overplay and then just curl it around the corner. You can see no real threat of running out of fairway here on the left. The biggest thing is just making sure that it doesn't run out on you. But as you can see, this gets it up here very far. And when you're up here this far, look at what we have. We have the full club span here to be able to play this root shot and get a very high tiebreaker score. So if you guys are seeing very high scores on your tiebreakers, this is how they're doing it. These pins are huge to getting up here into a nice, and this is a perfect opportunity to use it. Is on a hole like this to make sure that you keep it in play. We're going to play this about mid-ish club here. Something to the effects of this. 5, 6 rings. So let's see what this looks like. Kind of feel like I should have maybe zoomed in a little bit more. As you can see, yeah, for sure. I wound up actually underplaying there too. So it needed extra because we were in the power boost. So because of the power boost, and as a result, you can see we go over this green now. So there you can see we've rolled the eagle in, but we lose the tiebreaker points. So the biggest thing that, I can mention to you guys, and the biggest reason as to why this ring, these rings here were light, was because I forgot we were on the power boost. So with the power boost, you have to keep in mind that it's going to go extra. So the wind's going to play extra. You need to do more rings as a result. So we were a little bit light there with our ring adjustment. But let's just kind of move on from that. Try to get ourselves in position. One of the things that you want to try to do on holes like this is you just want to kind of utilize these slopes. So you'll see the slopes here. We're just going to get this off the tee box. 8-1, 5, 7 rings. If we can land right on that downslope, so that's what you want to try to do here, is you want to try to land right on that downslope. So and that's right there, and you can see it just kind of rolls out extra. So we're getting extra off the tee by landing on a downslope. So that's one of the best early strategies that I can recommend to early brand new players, is you want to try to take advantage of that fact. Here you can see we're a little in between clubs with Spectre on. And this is one of the main reasons that I equip over Iron, because it's going to open up my span. I think we talked about this last time. Last tournament, if you guys tuned in, we talked about ring span. So this 7.1 assumes at 7.1 that Spectre's equipped. So there's 10 rings. I forget how many total it is. It's about 12, almost 13. Almost 13 rings. So it goes from 7 to almost 13. So like this. So you have to open up your span here. And here's min club. We're going to be about, what is that, about 2 from min? No, it's even going to be tighter. It's going to be pretty much min. This is like 1 from min. So we're going to use 1 from min all the way down here for our shot distance. It's 4, 6 rings. So this is going to give us a very nice estimation. So here you can see it's coming in. Oh, just comes up just a tad bit short. Almost, just needed to be just a little bit more aggressive with that ball guide. So if we would have set it up just a little bit tighter on the hole, it wouldn't have collapsed down quite as much. I was thinking, since it was so much towards min, it was probably going to roll out just a little bit more, but it's still kind of checked up a little bit. So you can see just a little bit of an error there, but shouldn't harm us too bad. So let's try to go in for this next shot. This is another similar shot. This is a good opportunity, so why not? Let's use a practice pin. I just want to kind of teach you guys about this practice concept. So there's the min line. We're going to be pulling up from min. We're going to utilize all that left spin. This is about maybe 4. Let's call this 4 from min here. And the biggest thing that we need here is mainly just a reference. Let me just go ahead and restore this purchase. Sorry about that. My subscription's a little wonky, so. But what we're going to do is we're just going to utilize this as a reference more so than anything. So 4 from max. And this is one of the things that you guys can start doing. So we're just going to say, look at this ball guide. So this ball guide is, get my grid back on. It's about looks like about 2.7. 2.75 from the pin. So I'm setting up 2.75. We're utilizing all of our left spin. 2.75 from the pin. And then we're just going to use this reference angle. So 487. Why not? We'll use this last ring here for our scaling, just to be very precise with our pull. And we're just gonna utilize this, and that's like 4.9, just a little bit more. That's like 4.87 right there. Ultimate shot. And it's a little bit light, just a tiny bit. So we're going to what we're going to do is we're going to go back out now. And we're going to go for the shot, try to get a little bit more aggressive. So what happened on that last shot? It was a little bit short, right? So we're going to get just a little bit tighter. And if anything, it was a little bit light on the ring adjustment as well. So now we're going to set up this ball guide just a little bit tighter. Right on the hole, just like that. So let's just see what this looks like. This is saying now we are maybe 2.65 from the pin. So let's go right here. This is about 2.7 from the pin, or 2.67 maybe from the pin. So we're going a little bit tighter. We're going to do 7/8 this time, 4/5 rings. But keep in mind, 4/5 might have been just a hair light, just a fraction. So what we're going to do is just kind of slightly overpull this time. And this is where that practice really comes in and can help inflate your tiebreakers. It might give us the ace. So if you can make these little micro adjustments on your own, there's a chance that you can get the ace. So instead of going 4/5, we're going to go like 4/5/5. So we're going to go just a little bit more on the ring pull. And let's just see how this rolls out. So as you can see, look, it's getting closer and closer. So we needed just to play it just a little bit. And the more that you can just kind of fine tune on your own and just make those mental changes just little by little, the better that you're going to get at using this tool and being able to hone in on the hole and start to get those drops. So do keep that in mind. The practice is one of the best things that the game has probably developed. And why not? Let's break out a Pro D1 on this. It's really gonna open up our options for what we can do from a side spin perspective. I'm gonna try to blast it down here and try to curl it. So if we're on Pro D, We're going to go Pro D, 5, 6. It's almost 5 rings. And then we're just going to push up as well. Back up to the max line here. So there you can see a great shot. I don't think great shot registered. But you can see what we're trying to do. We're just trying to blast this up here as far as possible. Hopefully this holds. So sure enough it did, but we weren't able to really capitalize on any extra yards, unfortunately. So let's just see what this looks like. Right at the max line here. I think I can get there. And I feel a little bit better. I don't know. I'm kind of torn here. So I have two options. Let me just hit this restore real quick. Two options. I can either go Viking and kind of bump it, or I can just try to land it on the green. I'm worried if it lands on the green, it might not be able to control it. So I'm just going to use the max line adjustment here. You can see all these ball guides up here by the hole. I'm going to do something like this, like try to land right here. And keep in mind, this is right at the max line. So Pro D max line adjustment, 3 rings. Now, the one thing that I want you guys to take note of is look that we're pulling down into this bunker. Anytime that you pull down like this, it's going to short land. So it's not going to land its full distance because we've pulled the target down to lower ground. So what does that mean? You're going to always push up just slightly. This is going to help restore that height, the original height. We need it to land closer to the green. And you can see it's still landing short. So it still wasn't enough. I pushed up only about 0.2 rings. You guys almost going to want to push up a full ring. So that's the biggest thing that you can take away from that. Is try to push up more than I did. But also keep in mind, you know, especially with Pro D1 on here, getting the ultimate shot and being able to still get this drop, it's going to be definitely a possibility. So you definitely want to focus on still getting that eagle, even if you do make a slight mistake. These par 5s on this course are brutal. They're very, very tough. And you want to just do the best that you can. And that's why I knew to take Pro D there. Like, that's the perfect opportunity for you guys to take the Pro D. Because, you know, you don't want to throw away a stroke. So what we're going to do here, this is a straight tailwind. We're just going to blast it down here as far as we can. Just watch the rollout to the right. That's one of the reasons that you saw me curling it to the left and everything. Also watch your distance, because keep in mind, you know, if you have a little bit more driver distance than me, you could potentially get yourself into trouble there. So here you can see the Orion just a little bit short again. So not quite able. One of the things you could do is you could bring a Mojave. You could bring a special ball if you want. But if I'm using the free-to-play balls, what we're going to do is set up with Spectra here. So this is Spectra, and this is probably about 3 rings from max line. Now remember, with the Spectra here, so it's saying we have 22 span. We're going to be about 3 rings from max. And we're going to utilize 8 miles per hour. This is a plus 3% ball again. So it's saying 5.8 rings. So 5.8. We're just kind of keeping it a little bit short. Look at the ball guide, how I have it short intentionally. Why? Because what's going to happen is it's going to stretch out. So as soon as this wind plays, it's going to stretch the ball guide out. you want to be a little bit cautious with that. Because it's a tailwind, it's going to stretch the ball guide out. So watch this shot come in. Here you can see it's kind of, didn't quite get there. It was so close. You can see it's a super large hill there. It rolls all the way down into the rough. So be just a little bit careful there with your adjustment. I mean, that's inches away from perfection. I literally, it was right to the top of the hill. I didn't miss it by much. So the one thing to take away from that shot, guys, is that I didn't miss it by much. I mean, we're talking inches. And let's see if we can capitalize. Nope. So our great ball costs us, and we throw away. We don't get this eagle. This is a really foolish one to throw away. This was the easiest one to eagle out of the entire side, and it looks like it's going to be the only one I don't eagle. So do not make that same mistake I did. But you can also see this is just a qualifier. We just need to get through. We're going to focus more on what we use, you know, the balls we use, stuff like that in the later rounds. So in the early going, we're just going to make sure that we get through and not worry too much about placement or anything. However, you know, like I mentioned, you know, we should be able to still put up, you know, reasonably good scores. Another great ball, and it cost me. So you can see here I'm up in the rough. We're going to try to salvage this from the rough. Close to the max line here on Ninja. Should be a relatively straightforward shot. I got kicked out of my subscription again. Again, I apologize, but you know, since my subscription's a little bit wonky, I have to stay in both states, so it just creates really difficult way for me to stay in both states. Here this is saying 27 rings for a max club adjustment. Substantial ring adjustment here. Of course, my grid popped off as well. So let's just go ahead here. 27 rings. Ultimate shot. It's coming in really nice. Still able to get aggressive there and potentially get a drop. So do focus on, you know, your ultimate shot and making sure that you never play yourself out of a hole. You just never know. You know, I still could have made that hole. So do keep that in mind. So here you can see we're going to be able to get up to this fairway. This is a good opportunity. One of the things that, you know, I'll do on holes like this is maybe bring my curling driver. This is the one time for you to break out barchetta. We're just going to try to land over here with some curl. So we're just keeping it intentionally away from landing, you know, too much in the rough there. And when you get it up here, you're going to see you're well within range here. So we should easily be able to grab this. Now with a little bit of a tailwind, we got to be just a little bit cautious. So what I'm going to do here, since I'm a little bit out of range, we didn't quite get it up far enough. So we're going to utilize this lightning rod. This is something that you want to start developing in the early clubs. Now granted, at a 2, it's missing a lot of ball guide. But you could see it was close to the max line. So I only pulled down a little bit. So I'm going to just pull this down just slightly, you know, a ring or two. 6-4, Pro D, saying right around 8 rings straight up. Like I mentioned, there is some missing ball guide, so make sure you keep it just a little bit short, for sure. This is right around 8 rings, so we're just going to pull and go right around 8. This is going to give us a really good opportunity to make stuff. And the better this club gets, the more that ball guide comes. You can see just a slight overpull. I did it intentionally, but you can see as a result, it kind of broke a little bit to the left. But on top of that, you know, I'm playing wind effect, so that's why I'm keeping it out to the left, because I know that it's not gonna, you know, it's gonna want to roll out more right than straight. However, in that case, it did roll out straight. But here you can see, you know, even with free balls, we used all free balls. We're able to put up a really nice tiebreaker. Every round, this tournament is going to be a different win. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to give you guys the guides for the qualifier, guides for the semifinals, and guides for the final round. So all 3 rounds are going to have different wins. We're going to take different approaches. Once it starts getting a little bit more serious, you know, the semifinals into the finals, we're going to really start focusing and utilizing some of those balls and everything. So keep all that in mind. Best of luck out there, guys, and take care with your rounds. I'll see you guys in the semis. Best of luck.